Hey, everybody, welcome back. Here with Brian, Massey's Maine Entertainment. Today, we thought we'd just do a little 1970s favorite songs, not necessarily the best or critically acclaimed or biggest selling. These are personal favorites that we wanted to just shoot back and forth. We're going to pick three. Think of it as a gold, silver, bronze, if you want, or one, two, three. Three favorites. We're going to go in chronological order, starting in 1970, ending up in 1979, just for a little, comparison. We know what each other's like. We've done these videos before. I'm not going to pick some of the landmark songs that we've talked about, repeatedly, but maybe some new ones, some favorites. Brian, I'm sure you'll do the same across the board. It'll be interesting to see how the years flow. 1970 through 1979, because they do change. We were talking off camera about our favorite year, and we both mutually agreed 1975, for whatever reason, was loaded with great songs, and it was really tough to choose. So what do you think, just as an opening statement, what do you think?
Really an interesting exercise to understand the difference between years that had good albums and years that had good singles. I mean, there are certainly years that I feel like there were stronger albums, especially in the early part of the 70s, but not necessarily like a standout single from those really strong albums that would just jump out at me as being my absolute favorite from that album. I had to really like step back and go, what are the songs that I enjoy listening to apart from listening to the album in its entirety?
Exactly.
And that's really was the struggle of it all, which it's a fun struggle though. You know what I mean?
It is.
It's a fun exercise. Yeah.
And when you hear like the first three or four notes of these individual songs, that's why they're on the list, because right away you're hooked. Still 50 years later, I hear a couple of notes from one of my favorite songs, I'm going to listen to the whole thing, whether it's on the radio, whether I'm playing it, whether it's background music, whatever, in a movie. It clicks. That's what we click to certain songs, and that's what it's about. So let's jump in real quick. 1970. Brian's going to go first. He's going to hit us with his three, then I'll come back with my own that year, and then we'll go on to the next year. So do it.
All right, 1970. I have for a bronze medalist here, I have Neil Young's "Don't Let It Bring You Down" from after the Gold Rush. I think it's one of his better written songs, very poignant song, talking about the state of society and culture, and very sung in a very atypical Neil Young fashion. Really just enjoyed the stripped down version of the song. A silver medalist here, I've got "Let It Be" by the Beatles. I know that technically speaking, probably all of this material was in 68 or 69, when it may be in a studio somewhere. But the song itself was released and charted the most in 1970. So I'm going to put "Let It Be" here. Really a great track from that album. But the gold medalist here is going to be "Moondance" for me from Van Morrison. I think, ironically, not released as a single. I think there was only one single released from Moondance, and it was like "Coming Home" or something. It wasn't even like Moondance or "In the Mystic" or any of that. Any of those songs, I didn't see them released as singles. So I maybe reissued later on, released at a different date. But I picked "Moondance" as my gold medalist for 1970.
Very interesting, because we have similar artists. Two of the three artists are the same, but different songs. For my bronze medal here, I'm going to go with the song "Ohio" from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Neil Young basically wrote the song when he heard about the Kent State murders, and the rest is history. Just topical, relevant, exactly at the right time. I just, every time I hear that beginning of it, it grabs me. Number two, or the silver medalist, is "Father and Son" by Cat Stevens. I always come back to this. Very, very important song to me. The strained relationship, and it's just beautifully written and performed. And that's off the T for the Tillerman album. And my gold medalist is from Van Morrison, but it's "Into the Mystic," another track off of the Moondance album. I just love that song. It's one of those ones that It's a vibe song, you know. I would consider that being played at my funeral. I've said that before. It's just floating away into the mystic. Just a cool image. And you know, if you're a Van fan, he really brings the heavy thunder on that song. I think his feeling and phrasing is fantastic. So that's 1970. Uh, Interesting year. So we're going to go to 1971. We'll see how we do here.
Okay, 1971. As the bronze medalist, I like to refer to this song as the poor man's Mrs. Robinson. I got Maggie May by Rod Stewart here.
Yeah.
Really, I love the subject matter. You know, about a young man who has a relationship with an older woman, and you know he certainly feels like she's using him in some way. But you know, when you're young and you're a male, you typically don't mind those sorts of things, I suppose.
Bring it.
But one of my favorite song by Rod Stewart, so that was a pretty easy one. Silver medalist here, I've got When the Levee Breaks off of Led Zeppelin 4. I love the drumming in this. Some of Bonham's greatest work here off of maybe their magnum opus album. Had to include it for sure. But the gold medalist for 1971 for me is Baba O'Reilly from the Who's Next, an album which, you know, we obviously, if anybody's been watching our tournament series, knows that we had voted the best album of the 1970s. So this is my favorite track off of there. So Baba O'Reilly.
Yeah, that's one of the best songs of that era. And I didn't want to repeat myself, so I didn't put it on. Same with Maggie May. I love Maggie May. It's a perfect song. Stairway to Heaven I could have picked, but I'm naming all the ones. What's Going On I could have picked. All these 1971 classics. But I went a little bit different. Stuff I haven't really talked about that much before that I do like. Number 3, bronze medal, Jethro Tull, Locomotive Breath.
Ooh.
Do 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 do.
Yep.
You know that it just that's about as heavy as I want to get. You know, I'm known from the singer-songwriter, mellow, kind of lyrical kind of content. But there's something about that song. The flute is fantastic in it as well. My silver medalist, this is pure power pop. Badfinger, Day After Day.
Oh.
I just love this song. It's one that from day one, and it's never waned. It's got everything I like. I like the melodic tone of it. Badfinger, you know, they were cut short in their career with the either drugs or suicides, whatever it took, but they didn't have the long range career that was projected for them. And my number one, this might come as a surprise to people, but this is another one of those vibe songs. I hear the piano and I hear the thunder and the rain. It's Riders of the Storm by the Doors off LA1.
Nice.
That's my favorite song of the year. Classics aside, I mean, you could have went Imagine and It's Too Late, American Pie, this Tiny Dancer. I mean, how many great songs came out that year? We could fill a top 20 list, but we're only doing 3 today. So that's 1971.
Yeah, I think when we did our Build a Perfect album, we had to have a double album for 1971. That's how loaded. That's how loaded that year was.
It was. All right, we're on to 72.
Yeah, 72. This one here feels like a little bit schizophrenic in my choices here. They don't really all kind of fall in the same motif. But bronze medalist, I've got Dirty Work here from Steely Dan from their debut album. Really got a little bit more notoriety when it was featured in the trailer for the Suicide Squad movie that came out a few years back. Really great tune. Maybe my favorite off that album for sure. Silver medalist, I got Suffragette City from David Bowie here. I really fell in love with this album again recently after Doc had pushed me into listening to the album again. And really my favorite song off of here. I love the energy of the song. The entire second side of Ziggy Stardust is phenomenal. Could have picked a lot of songs, obviously 5 years or something else like that, but I went with this one. And then for gold medalist though, I went with a little bit of lo-fi blues rock and picked Tumbling Dice by the Rolling Stones to be my gold medalist. I think maybe one of the stronger tunes. I love the grittiness of it and again the energy that the track brings. So
yeah, that's a great pick, and I have that written down as one of my runners up as well. My bronze, I went with Steely Dan, but I went with Do It Again. Ooh. That opening track. I like that, the maracas or whatever that thing is in the beginning, the whole thing. I like the lyrics. The vocal, I do like the song you picked, "Dirty Work." It's fantastic, but I went with "Do It Again." My silver or runner up, "Operator" by Jim Croce, another one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hit single, but it's a good album track as well. I like Jim Croce from my area, my neck of the woods, Philadelphia, and I wanted to include him here. My gold medalist or top song is "5 Years." You mentioned it, David Bowie. I like the song you picked too. That whole album is fantastic, Ziggy
Yeah.
Star. But I went with 5 years. It sort of sets the tone for that album, post-apocalyptic kind of vibe or whatever. You got 5 years left. It's a warning. It's coming. And sometimes I feel like that in regular life. It's just like, what if they told you got 5 years? Make it count.
Exactly.
So that's
All right.
1972. And again, we left a lot of great ones on the sidelines for that. Let's go to 1973.
Yeah, 1973. I mean, I could have mixed any of these up in any particular order. I didn't love any one that much more, but I had to obviously put them in some type of order. So for bronze medalists, I picked "Band on the Run" from Paul McCartney and Wings. Obviously, that great iconic song that has the different time signatures and switch ups in the way that the song is put together. Maybe their best known song for sure. My silver medalist here, though, I've got "Simple Man" from Leonard Skinner. I think it's their best song. I'm not a huge Leonard Skinner fan. You're just not going to get me vibing listening to a lot of "Freebird" or "Sweet Home Alabama," things like that. But this song here, I think, it's a little bit more structured and a little bit more personal for a lot of people, and I think that it holds up very well today. But my gold medalist, I picked "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road" by Elton John. I think it's one of his best songs. I think the album it is a little bit of a filler on the album. We're not talking about albums. I mean, we've already had those discussions there. This is, I would say a top 3 song for me from Elton John. So I wanted to give it the gold medal spot.
Yeah, those are great picks, and I have them written down. They were contenders. One of them actually is on my list. My number 3 here is "She's Gone" by Hall and Oates. I just have an affection for that early Hall and Oates before they went too poppy. This is kind of a laid back, great vocal by Daryl Hall. It's got that blue-eyed soul vibe in it. Fantastic. "Simple Man" is my bronze medalist, so we hit directly on that in the number 2 hole by Leonard Skinner. I agree with you. It's my favorite Leonard Skinner song. The other ones, are more iconic and more well known, but there's something pure and natural about that "Simple Man" song. And my number 1 is kind of a mini cheat because it's 2 songs into one. It's "Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding" by Elton John, the opening track of "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road." So I love that title track, "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road," but I wanted to get that whole music, that instrumental beginning, and then the roses in the window box, tilted to one side. I just love the lyrical content on that "Love Lies Bleeding." So Elton was a monster in '73, and he had another album out called "Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player." So he was in high gear.
Yeah.
All right, 1974. Now we agree this could be the weakest year of the decade, and it may be reflected in the songs. We'll see how that turns out. What do you got?
These songs, I mean, I like these songs a lot, but I'm not sure whether I would, go out of my way to spend them on a given day necessarily. I got bronze medal. I picked "Seagull" from Bad Company, like maybe one of the lesser known tracks from that their debut self-titled album there. I think it's a really good song. It's a bookend track for that album as well. I wanted to include it. My silver medalist is an album I discovered just in the last year, which was Deep Purple's "Burn," and I've got "Sail Away," which has got that really great guitar riff right at the beginning of it, and I just think it's incredible. A lot better than "Smoke on." I hate that "Smoke on the Water" riff so bad. I'm glad I was able to find another song of theirs that I could really riff on, to say the least.
Yeah.
And my gold medalist, I picked "Sundown" by Gordon Lightfoot. I think a little bit of singer-songwriter here. It's a song that this would be the song that if I had to pick a song in '74 to listen to a little bit more consistently, I think giving a little bit of love to a guy north of the border might be the appropriate thing to do. So
Very nice. Yep. My number 3 is the title track, Bad Company by Bad Company. So we each have Bad Company song. You went with Seagull. I went with the title track. There's something about that tune that I've always dug, and still to this day. My number 2 or silver medalist is ELO. Can't get it out of my head. Another one that's a slow burn. I can't explain why I like it. I just know when I hear it, it's fantastic. My number 1 is Jackson Brown's Late for the Sky, another title track. Singer-songwriter, introspective, trying to figure things out. My favorite album of his, and I had to pick a song off it, so that's the one I went with. I almost went with For a Dancer, Fountain of Sorrow. I could have went in a number of different directions, but it's going to be Late for the Sky for the weak year of 1974.
I had a suspicion. I didn't want to say it. I just had a suspicion. Yeah. But.
I went over 1972 and skipped over Dr. My Eyes, but I wasn't going to let it happen again. So 74, I threw a Jackson Brown song in there. Might be my only one on the whole list. Just a little futuristic prediction there. All right, number 1975. Here, this is a killer year.
Yeah, and we've gone from maybe what we considered the worst to the best. All three of these tracks are absolute great bangers. I've got bronze medalist is "Shelter from the Storm" by Bob Dylan from Blood on the Tracks. That's how good this year is. And I got to give Bob some major love here. I love Blood on the Tracks, third favorite Dylan album. And this is I think it's like one of the last tracks on the second side. Everybody should check it out. That's silver medal list here. I've got Born to Run from Bruce. You had to have, I feel like you have to have something from Bruce's iconic album here. And this one here, I just went ahead and took the title track. I just between this and 10th Avenue, Freeze Out, I probably could have picked as well, but I went with Born to Run. But my second favorite song of all time is my gold medalist, and that's "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd. Absolutely adore this song. When it starts to play, I can get right into that mood that this song creates. Love it. So that's my gold medalist.
Well, you picked some great ones. "Shelter from the Storm." I mean, I can't possibly top that, but I left it off the list. "I Wish You Were Here" arguably is the best song of the year. I just didn't put it as a favorite. It's fantastic. Number 3 for me is "Someone Saved My Life Tonight" by Elton John. Elton shows up again. What can you say about this song? It's got the lyrical content and the mood and Elton's voice. Bernie's lyrics are fantastic in this. 4:00 in the morning, damn it, listen to me good.
Yeah.
That whole vibe. When that first came on the radio in 75, I couldn't believe a song that deep was playing on AM radio, but it was. My number 2 or silver medalist is by the band It Makes No Difference. Always loved this song. That's from the Northern Lights Southern Cross album, sung by Rick Danko. Makes an appearance in the last waltz. Very cool. It's got all kinds of instruments coming in and out at the end. Good sax. And number 1 is an easy pick for me. It's always been my favorite Bruce song, and that's "Jungle Land" off Born to Run. Closes the album. Just the gangs and the characters and Clarence's sax, Roy Bittan's piano. It's all in there. "Jungle Land" is my top song from 75. So we'll transition into 1976, another pretty good year.
Yeah, this one here, I went a little bit along the personal lines here, especially, I would say right across the board here. At bronze medalist for me, I picked Boz Scaggs' "We're All Alone" from Silk Degrees. I just think it's a really wonderful song, very romantic song. But I think it's close the windows, calm the lights, and everything. It'll be all right. I think it's just a great song. Pick that. I'm really a big fan of that album. Silver medalist here, I've got "Telephone Line" by Electric Light Orchestra. I think their best song from a New World record. Just the harmonies in it, the orchestration, all that blending mix. Jeff Lynne is just an incredible producer, and it just has this great ear for music. But gold medalist that year, I went with Stevie and "I Wish." from Songs in the Key of Life, that great funky sound that the whole album has, and just an absolute creative, I don't know, masterpiece, a double album that almost has no filler whatsoever. I just think it's a great piece of work. So I picked I Wish from that album.
Yeah, it's a great one. 1976, bronze medalist. I went with Telephone Line, ELO. You mentioned it. That's the second one we hit on. Like you said, I think it's their best song too. My favorite ELO song. You know, it's got the little sound effects with the phone and the hello, hello, you know, the kind of thing. He mixes all that stuff in to create a really creative tune.
There's a whole generation of people watching this video right now that have no idea what we're talking about.
Check it out. ELO, Telephone Line, a new world record. The whole record's great, but that song in particular is excellent. Number 2, or the silver medalist here, is American Girl by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. You know, there's something about this song. It was his last song he ever played in concert. He always ended his concerts with that tune, that little, and then they'd break into it. Just a fantastic song. And my number 1 is Night Moves by Bob Seger. I like the nostalgia of it, the thunder off in the distance, everything about it. Bob Seger, the most underrated superstar in the history of classic rock for me. So that's 1976. 1977, another interesting year. This will be wild.
Yeah. For me, I picked it for the bronze. I picked The Stranger from Billy Joel here. Like the tune all the way around, the nice little slow build in the song, and then the guitar comes in, you know, to kind of move the song along. And I think it's Strangers, like his best album, and this is the title track from that, maybe the best song on that album. Silver medalist there. I picked one little odd here. I picked Peter Gabriel's Salisbury Hill. I just love the different sounds in it, different time signatures, and must be at least 3 different time signatures in a song. And it's such an obscure time signatures on top of that are not traditionally used in a song. It doesn't even have a, you know, really much of a traditional chorus in any way. And I just think, you know, you could tell that he was still a little bit into the proggy mentality with the song, and but I think it translated to a pop song as well, which is pretty rare for progressive music, especially in the late 70s. So, and my final gold medalist, well, it's Fleetwood Mac. Rumors came out that year, and Dreams is my 3rd favorite song of all time. So it's Dreams from Fleetwood Mac. Maybe one of the greatest breakup songs, or let's stick it to your ex songs that you'd ever want to hear. So
no doubt,
go with it.
Yeah, we're hitting on a lot of similar artists, which is cool. My bronze medalist is The Chain by Fleetwood Mac off the Rumors album. I just like it because it's got all 3 vocalists in there, and they all have a written. They all co-wrote the song, all 5 of them. It's sort of a melding of all the talents. I love the bass line by Mr. McBee, and just a great song. Silver, I went with Steely Dan's Deacon Blues off Asia's album. I just, another one that I every time I hear it, I'm going, man, this is really craftsmanship at its finest. Everything about it. So Deacon Blues is making my list. And number 1, I couldn't agree more with you. Peter Gabriel, Salisbury Hill is my favorite song of 1977. I know it's used in commercials once in a while. You hear that little jingle and stuff, but it doesn't lose the effect for me. A perfectly written song about the breakup of Genesis, him leaving the band, and it's all in the lyrics.
Yeah.
Eagle Flew Out of the Night and all that stuff. Great stuff. I like the imagery of it. And it does have some interesting time signatures as well. So we're down to the last 2 years. 1978 coming up. Here we go.
Yeah, 78, honestly, probably my second least favorite after 74. I just want to hear, wasn't in love with a lot of the songs, but the songs I did pick, I do like. Bronze medalist, I picked Sultans of Swing, Dire Straits. I think Mark Knopfler established himself as at least one of the most identifiable guitarists out there with this particular song. It has very distinct sound to his stuff. And I think some of their other albums from Dire Straits, Communique and Making Movies, and the Love Over Gold. I think that very underrated albums. I think people should really check out their other material other than Brothers in Arms. I mean, I know that was their big album.
Big one.
But by silver medalist, I've got Just What I Needed from the Cars from their debut album. I think you could have picked several songs from this album. We've always joked that it's kind of their greatest hits, and it's true. And this is like maybe my favorite song from the album, so I want to put that here at silver. For gold, I picked Styx Renegade. I think it's maybe their most rocking song to me. Some of the other stuff I've listened to from Styx that people have tried to tell me to listen to is a little bit too proggy for me. They're kind of that progressive pop sound that I really just couldn't get into a lot. This one was a little bit more rock oriented, and I could actually vibe with this a little bit more. Definitely could vibe with this a little bit more than Mr. Roboto that would come out in the early 80s.
Yeah.
But, that gold medalist is Renegade from Styx. So.
Yeah, I like that. That's one of my favorite Styx songs too. My bronze, I went with Springsteen. I know it's an easy pick, but I went with The Promised Land off of Darkness on the Edge of Town. I like the harmonica in it. It's a great concert song too. It gets the crowd fired up. The dogs on Main Street howl because they understand. I like the imagery of that too. My runner-up here, or silver medalist, is Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty. Off the City to City album. That's sort of an underrated one for me. I don't talk a lot about it, but got the great saxophone at the end.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
How often do you hear these great saxophone-driven songs, right?
Yeah.
Not often.
That's one that really stands out. Yeah. And number one, or the gold medalist for me, is What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding by
Elvis
Costello, written by Nick Lowe. Just a catchy, cool song, and it's pretty emblematic of that late 70s new wave coming at you. The Cars was a great pick by you. In fact, I have written down every song off the Cars album as a runner-up because they all it's just a stacked album. I feel that way about some of these songs like The Police, Roxanne. I have Sultans of Swing written down, Who Are You, Beast of Burden, and those Blondie songs, Heart of Glass and One Way or Another. They were big in 78.
Miss You from Some Girls was that close to getting in there. You know, I just didn't. Yeah. I didn't know whether I wanted to repeat On a Stones thing, and it was really close, you know. And I was like, well, I just leave them off entirely, try to go a different route. So,
all right, now we're down to the last year of the decade, 1979.
Yeah, this one here, these are more personal ones. Again, I know that Steve from All the World's a Stage is going to give me some crap on this one, but I got as a bronze medalist, I got Those Shoes from the Eagles.
I love it.
It's my favorite Eagles album. I know it's like Steve's going to be all over me for that. But this song, I just love it. I love that thumping bass line on it, and that wailing guitar. Bow, bow, bow. I love it. I just think it's incredible. Silver medalist for me is London Calling from The Clash. I think an iconic punk album, and just really culturally relevant in every way. And I thought it was an important song to have. But my favorite song that year is from Breakfast in America. I've got the Logical song from Supertramp. I love the rhyming scheme that basically ends everything in the same, 3 letters, CAL. And I think that it's just an incredibly poignant song. Again, culturally relevant, really talking about the state of affairs in the world. An album that's filled with massive hits, and it's my favorite song off of there. So I went with the Logical song.
Yeah, that's a great album. And it just missed my list. Those Shoes was a good pick too. I didn't see that one coming. Very cool. And you're right that it's like I can't think of the word for it. It's not a voice box, but maybe it is.
Yeah, it feels like a Framptonian a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's got, I guess it's Joe Walsh or Felder, one of those guys playing that on that song, but fantastic. All right, my final 3, bronze medalist. I went up with a safe pick, Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. I just think it's a wonderful song off the wall, and it fits what I like about Pink Floyd. Runner-up, silver medalist, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Refugee. Just a kick-ass little rock number off Damn the Torpedoes. I wanted to get Petty in there somewhere, and that was the song. And my number 1, this will surprise people because it's not really in my radar a lot of times, but my gold medalist for 1979 is Highway to Hell by AC/DC.
Wow. Holy, Doc's going to be excited.
I just think it's a great song. It's the perfect song for them. It's got the sexual innuendo in there and the lyrics, as they always do.
Yeah.
I guess it's the last album prior to Bon Scott's death. Back in Black would come out in 1980. So some really good ones. I almost went with Life During Wartime, too, by Talking Heads. I really like that tune. And anything off Breakfast in America would have fit for me. But great stuff. 10 years. We did 10 years in half an hour. And
that's really good, actually.
60 songs, all our favorites. That was a lot of fun. It went better than I thought it would. I thought it was going to be really difficult to justify those songs, but once you start spitting them out, it makes sense. You know,
as long as people understand it's taste. It's not saying
taste, personal preference. It's whatever you're feeling right now. I mean, it could be different a year from now. Probably will be.
Yeah, it absolutely will be.
These are the 3 records or songs that I would spin to represent each year right now. That's the way I made up my list. And
so we got some. You want to tell some people about some projects we've got coming up, or or save it for them, or no?
We'll save it. We'll let them surprise. But we're going to do a couple things. Probably every 2 weeks or so, we'll stick one on here just to keep things interesting. You know, I'm having trouble coming up with content on my own, so it's good to have Brian here to get me through some of this stuff. I'm trying to stick to music right now and not veer off into the movies. There'll be a time and a place for that. But
yeah. Absolutely.
We've done a lot of that on Brian's channel. If you want to go over and check out Massey's Maine Entertainment, we've got decades of stuff on there with Doc and Randy and us. And
yeah, but if you can't find a movie that you haven't seen to watch after watching our channel, I don't know what to help you with. But yeah. We've got the most varied taste between the 4 of us that you can imagine.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And we try not to poke too much fun at each other. But by now we know what everybody likes, and it's cool.
Yeah.
It fits right in. So awesome job. Thanks, Brian, for coming on and doing this.
You bet.
Go over and check out Brian's channel, Massey's Maine Entertainment. Link below. Like, subscribe, leave some comments. Give us your 3 songs for each year. I would love to see that. It's tough squeezing comments out of people. I know time's a factor. But if you want to just counteract what we've talked about or tell us we're full of crap or why'd you leave this out, we'll take any of that stuff and field the question. So for Brian, this is Rich. Appreciate you watching. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.